The FT view opinion: Eurozone leaders should use their existing tools. Corona bonds are a good idea, but the bloc can tap its existing rescue fund. I wonder what the purpose of this FT article is. So it's talking about the coronavirus, but it's actually talking about EU reform. The coronavirus pandemic is the biggest economic shock to hit the EU since its foundation in 1957. Some member states will suffer more deeply than others, but none will escape unharmed. This is a truly common shock, and one that is nobody's fault. Failure to show solidarity in helping those less able to respond to risks doing immeasurable harm to the European project. Now, are they talking about the so-called migration crisis, about the environmental crisis, about the financial crisis? No, they're making it sound as though it's a medical problem here. Okay. Supporting the EU economy through a necessary suspension of activity requires an immense fiscal effort. It's a particular challenge to the Eurozone, where the strength of members' public finances varies widely. Some already have debt to GDP ratios of 100% or more. Even the most stretched should be able to borrow the additional 10 to 20% of GDP the economic fallout necessitates, provided borrowing costs stay low. The danger is that investors take fright and set off the self-fulfilling spiral into default. So they're basically saying all of the countries are different, and they have to borrow at different prices. Can we find a way of lending to everyone at the same very low rate by combining the risk and saying that lending to Greece is the same as lending to Germany? The ECB's pledge last week to buy another £750 billion of bonds, that's also known as quantitative easing, this year has helped containing bond spreads that had started to widen. So basically every country has a government, every government raises money by issuing bonds, and the price of the bond in each government is completely different depending on the health of that country's economy. Hence Greece having a much more expensive bond than Germany's, because Germany's is regarded as safer and everybody buys it. But financial markets' concern about the limits to what the ECB can do have not entirely dissipated. The Eurozone must prove definitively it can deliver the fiscal policy responsible this disaster calls for. Right, so they're talking for a complete upheaval of the policy. Leaders of France, Italy, Spain and 6 other countries, these people are also sometimes known as the pigs, called on Wednesday for the radical step of creating a dedicated mutualized debt instrument or a corona bond to finance capital spending on health and economic support measures. Such a bond would be the most potent way to dispel doubts that not just the ECB but Eurozone governments will do whatever is needed, the famous whatever it takes. As well as delivering the necessary unified European response, it would tap the full fiscal potential of the Eurozone tax. It would also be a powerful display of solidarity. Given the risk of an anti-Euro backlash in some countries, the political message could prove as important for the Eurozone's survival as taking the right economic steps. So basically, everybody has to cooperate with this because it's like a war zone. So whereas before the 750 billion bond purchasing spree by the European Central Bank was called the bazooka, because Mario Draghi said he would do whatever it takes, now it's almost like an injection, a syringe, where you have to, it's like a vaccination and you have to do it, because if not, then the whole of the European economy as a system will disappear. Yet strong resistance from Germany, the Netherlands and Austria, where debt mutualization is anathema, means the bloc is unlikely to embrace corona bonds for now. Nobody has come up with a precise plan to implement them. Opinion in northern European countries where corona bonds risk promoting Eurosceptic nationalism will need time to accept that they have as much to lose from a Eurozone breakup as their southern partners. There is no reason to drop the idea, but Eurozone leaders should in the meantime use a tool they already have, the bloc's rescue fund. The European Stability Mechanism still has €410 billion euros of remaining financing capacity, sizable if not exhaustible. Most importantly, lining countries up for ESM funding leaves the ECB free to unleash unlimited purchases of its bonds, the substance behind Mario Draghi's pledge to do whatever it takes. Going to the ESM, however, carries a stigma, especially in Italy, where the Eurosceptic opposition parties have spread lies that ESM loans would mean harsh austerity and restructuring of Italian debt. I love the way they're talking about spreading lies, using the fake news thing. While the rationale for strict conditionality when the ESM was set up was clear, it does not apply to the COVID-19 crisis. ESM access should be made as straightforward as possible. But don't pretend there wouldn't be any conditionalities. There was an article yesterday saying the World Bank are adding conditionalities to their previously announced loans. as a result of any potential COVID help, which probably wouldn't be help in the first place because all of the loans are previously announced. The best approach would be to issue an ESM credit line to every Eurozone government, dispensing with any application process, with ultra-long repayment terms and conditions limited to the funds being spent on immediate crisis-related measures, which probably means more privatization. This would let markets know the ECB can use all its firepower when needed. That, in turn, would give the best chance that no country would ever need to tap into the credit line in the first place.